At our level, like picking the right stories, and like because there's so much talent coming out of Ireland right now, and if you're being this grassroots thing, I want to be promoting like the best of what's coming out. But there's such variety and so much that like things are just gonna like slip by you, and I always feel bad for like leaving stuff like that out. And then just crafting the team around everything, like from the photographers, the writers, and just getting it printed as well was like a massive deadline. It's really worth it. Again, like when we had the magazine launch and like it all came together and people had it in their hands, it was like the sickest feeling. Yeah, so I'm in TU Dublin, but I'm doing graphic design, so that's kind of where the issue one was before I went into my course, and then there's been an issue like every year, and obviously there's kind of like been a steady improvement as I learn more and more, but there's still like a ridiculous amount of stuff to learn, but yeah, I'm still studying. There's a really weird story of, if anyone out there knows about like the Call of Duty YouTube scene, I used to just make like YouTube banners for like different like clans and stuff like that. So I got in basically just through general social media stuff, making banners, making logos. Then when I kind of like stopped gaming as much, I got into streetwear. That's why like issue one is way more streetwear focused. And I always obviously listen to hip hop, but that became more dominant when the podcast came about. That was actually really funny because they were one of the magazines I looked at the time. Were like, oh, what they're doing is like really cool for the city, and I was scared to follow them on the sold out page for a while, and then eventually, I don't know, like they just followed me. They had an event in the Grand Social that they were looking to promote, so they came on the podcast, and I met the two lads who were running that at the time. They were literally just ridiculously sound, and they've helped me even with the latest issue. Like they gave me a full-on feedback session, did everything. I think you need more of that just in general across like all creatives in Dublin right now, because there's just not enough happening. Usually it's not too bad. If there's an international act or something, it can be hard to get in touch. Like I've had a couple of close calls with like some people that would have just been crazy, but I haven't gotten there yet. But in terms of like the Irish scene, it's like it usually just happens when you're at gigs anyway. Like you'll bump into someone who's like a friend of someone I've already interviewed, or whatever the case may be. They might just say, oh, I like the podcast, whatever. So it usually comes around that way, and then I know, okay, if I reach out, it'll happen. So usually I have a fair idea, but yeah, it's just kind of figuring out not to get too much into one click. That's one thing I've been conscious of now going into 2020, is like trying to expand that a little bit more. That was one of the first ones where, again, like the district one, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to be on my A game for this Jafaris interview. So I like tried to come up with a load of questions. But he's such a G. Like as soon as I met him, we walked down to the studio together. Like he was just so sound, like cracking jokes, all this stuff. So we got him in issue 3 as well, just because like it just worked so well, and like he's such an interesting guy. And especially with what like the Fusion Lab are doing at the moment, I think they're going to be the ones that will have a really influential role in hip hop in Ireland, like over the next little while. Like you see it with Soleil, like playing the Tree Arena, and crazy stuff like so. He's definitely one to watch for sure. It was actually funny. I remember I was just like in bed one night, and he sent me like a really late email. But he was like, "Oh, would you be interested in doing an interview for an Irish hip hop documentary?" And like, it's one of those moments again where if someone asks me that, I'm like, "Oh, you should go to District, though," or you should go to someone else. But he was like, "Oh no, like we'll do it." Like it was like really soon after. It was like 2 or 3 days after, and we did it. And I had no idea that the documentary would be like that comprehensive. I didn't have an idea of like a lot of his previous work, and when it got like the first like draft, when he sent me it and like checking if things were okay, I was like, this is absolutely crazy. Like some of the shots he has of like the whole lead up to like YX's gig and stuff is like just captures everything that's happening in the city in like kind of one story, like just the struggle, like but the moments that make it all worthwhile when he's on that stage. So yeah, I just wanted to help him at every opportunity I had once I saw it come together. So we did like 2 documentary like screenings, because I was like, it's too good just to watch on YouTube. Like we need that on a big screen, and it deserves that respect as well, So yeah, no, that only made sense, to be honest. Certain people will criticize us for like not covering this and not covering that, And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not a professional at journalism, at any of this stuff. So I try and just take it like whatever I can do, and whatever is of interest to me, and whatever I would want to see if I was the viewer. So that's the kind of way I look at it. But I don't know how much of like an influence it actually has, but the way I'd want it to be perceived is that it's just promoting whatever's already out there, you know what I mean? I didn't really set out to critique anything or to like really go one way or the other. It's like, this is here, this is cool, this is the story, and you can check it out if you want. So yeah, I definitely think so. Like I mean, Reggie Snow has kind of proved it. I think Kojak will prove it in the next couple of years. And like, you know, when you see, even like we were talking about like Hair Squad or something, it's like it's an absolute mystery why they're not like on every radio station over here right now. Same with Jafar, same with like a good few people. Like, just have that sound. That's like, loads of people would listen to this if they're getting the chance. And I think it's just a matter of time. Like even there's a guy coming out of Cork called Alex Goff, and from what I've heard, like one of his singles, Breakfast, was literally just on everybody's party playlist. So like at every university, every like party, every session, it's like this track is on the playlist, and it just kind of like organically grows like more and more and more. So I think like the more quantity we have of that sort of stuff happening, like the more adoption of it, it'll just be like its own thing, be unstoppable at that. That's yeah, I don't know how I haven't like talked about that already, because it just like would not happen. Like, you'd go crazy because you just have so much stuff to manage, and like even just kind of like checking in with someone and being like, oh, am I, like, if someone critiques it and you're like, oh, are they right, or like, you know, you just bounce off so many different things with someone. So yeah, no, you definitely need people with you. And like even the website, like you wouldn't be able to cover everyone without a team. Like, if it's one person, it's like you're just knocking out the time. Yeah, that's facts. You said it best. Like I literally just said, like, if with Sold Out, and it's one of the things that when I started it, I wanted it to be more so. I wanted people to think of it more as a network, where if you have an idea, you can reach out to us. Not that we can like fund everything or like whatever, but like we can help in some way and like collaborate on it, and share that with our audience and stuff. So I know exactly what you mean about, like, you can say that you support the scene all you want, but you need to hire your creatives, especially if you're in a position where you can. We're probably not yet, but it's like, I'd like to still collaborate and, you know, be upfront about what, you know, the split is in terms of the project or whatever. So yeah, I think, yeah, you said it best, man. Yeah, I'd love to see Nonzo like get the respect he deserves, especially like, I feel like they'd love him in the UK. I feel like they would. There's so many more though, like we were just saying, like Evans Jr., he had that like YBN the Mirror feature that kind of like some stuff happened with, but like I hope he gets another big collab like that like this year. Loads of people though. I'm just not sure, like an easy one would be like to say like Kojak and Luca Palm as well, because I know he's probably going to drop an album this year, but I don't know how he's going to follow up Daily Daydreams. It's interesting to think about. So just like, it's no real like goal as such. It's just kind of like keep on the path we're going, because like we were kind of touching on earlier, it's like there's only so much we can do with our current like reach and what we have access to and all. So just as that grows, hopefully we'll have access to like being able to do more, and like that's just an endless cycle then of like supporting different things. Because like the Sugar Club was like the first taste of that, like a documentary like screening, like had that sort of like premiere like cinema vibes. Like it was really fun. So like just doing more creative events that are going to get people engaged and have an impact, like compared to just doing the same old stuff over and over again. So that's why I just hope to do more creative stuff. I suppose like definitely just start it. You'd probably say that as well. It's like just literally start it. You're going to run into problems, like as you were saying, like your laptop breaks, you know, people let you down, all of that shit will happen. But someone told me once, where it's like, if you learn a skill now, it's more valuable if you learn it now than in a year's time, because you will have that knowledge for that year. So it's like compounding. The more you can learn earlier, the more impact it will have on your overall life. So if you're just kind of like, if you want to do something, it'll teach you either you do want to do that or you don't, and that will like point you in the right direction. So just like do it, give it a go, and yeah, just it'll teach you. It'll only be beneficial. Like